Ontario is putting its support behind Toronto to host a new global defense bank.
If we want Canada to be selected as the host, we need to put forward the strongest possible candidate, and that candidate is Toronto.
The bank would act as a major lender for 40 NATO member countries and Indo-Pacific allies to help ramp up defense spending as countries look to meet NATO's new 5% target. Vancouver, Halifax, Ottawa, and Montreal are also prepping their bids. The successful city will headquarter the bank, creating 3,500 direct jobs, and the decision is expected in early 2026. Peter Bethlenfalvy is the Ontario Minister of Finance, and he joins me now. Minister, it's good to see you again. Thanks for being here, sir.
Great to be with you, David.
Help me understand why a bank like this, which will finance defense spending across, NATO and its allies, why this is such a prize to have in Ontario and in Toronto specifically.
Well, first off, as NATO nations and Canada has made a commitment to go to 5%, that financing for the companies that will supply everything for the defense industry, from technology to manufacturing, has to be financed somehow. This is 3,500 jobs for the Defense, Security, and Resiliency Bank just in the banking center. Of course, there's an ecosystem of accounting and consultants and lawyers and IT and risk and cyber and so forth. And there's no better place on the planet, I think, and certainly in Canada, to house this bank than in Toronto. And we are hearing that many countries are favoring Canada. Of course, this is a Canada pitch, but we want the headquarters, and we think the headquarters should be in Toronto, and it'll be great for not just jobs in Ontario, but right across the country.
So this is a bank that will be seeded with capital from private banks, but it will specialize in financial structures for the NATO members and Indo-Pacific allies to upgrade cyber, to buy military equipment, to do these things, essentially to provide capital to those countries to build out their defense capacity. That's how this thing functions, correct?
With one exception, it's going to be funded. It's a multilateral organization, multinational. Think of the World Bank, and it's countries, sovereigns who put in the capital. And then that bank gets a AAA rating and can borrow money to be either to lend the supply chain or to guaranteed loans that the banks will do right across the NATO countries in the Indo-Pacific and North America. So it really allows for the supply chain to be financed, especially when you're increasing your defense spending. Okay. And so having that in Canada as a bank where the financial capital of Canada is Toronto, this is really where, we have all the talent, deep talent. We've got 190 languages spoken in Toronto. We have the largest international airport in Canada. We have the Up Express to downtown Toronto. We have over 100 consular services. And the bottom line is we have the deepest talent pool among many countries, and particularly in Canada. So that's why this bank just makes so much sense for Canada and for Toronto. Okay, so it's public capital going in, not private capital going in. Does the private capital? Okay, so does the private banking sector play a role in this? I mean, they would provide. Or is it something that is built entirely as a publicly funded and publicly run institution? Well, first of all, the banking sector, of course, you have to have, for the 3,500 jobs, direct jobs, you got to hire all those people to run this defense bank. Number two, because of, and I don't want to get too technical, but the capital rules, Basel IV, makes it tougher for banks to lend in certain industries. This bank, with a projected AAA rating, will be able to guarantee the companies that can go then and borrow from the banks with lower capital attributed to it. So it's a great mechanism. It's multinational, NATO countries, Indo-Pacific, North American, with the banking headquarters in Toronto, and it just makes a lot of sense as we move forward together, and as Canada's made a commitment to go to 5%, which means a lot of spending on domestic supply chain, to have that bank headquartered right here in Canada and in Toronto. Okay, so the focus on Toronto, the other comparators, the IMF, the World Bank, a lot of these multinational institutions, a lot of those are headquartered in political capitals, Washington, for example. So why Toronto and not, say, Ottawa? I know you have 109 consular services, I think was the number you cited, in Toronto, but the embassies are here, the government is here, the Department of Defense is here. Why not put it in? Why not get behind a bid for the national capital, which is also in Ontario, as the headquarters for this? Well, I think all indications are that that Toronto is the best place. Ottawa will be a vital partner in this. They have a great footprint there. They'll be part of the team, but it makes the most sense when you think about the all the major banks are in Toronto, and the pension funds and the life companies and the asset managers, and we're the largest defense manufacturing employee in Canada, with some 36% of Canadian manufacturing defense industry being here in Toronto and in Ontario. The whole ecosystem is here, but cities like Ottawa will play a vital role. They have a lot of assets to play to add, and really this is a pan-Canadian, but the headquarter with the depth of talent and the depth of resources, the depths of skills, and the whole ecosystem, and everything that we bring as the financial capital of Canada, the third largest stock exchange in North America, bigger stock exchange than market capitalization than London or Paris. We've got such a footprint here in the financial sector that it's inevitable that it should be in Toronto.
Right. So the ability to get this capital at the rates that it would offer it would certainly help the countries that need to arm up in the face of Russian and Chinese aggression, because they may not necessarily have the credit rating to get the preferred rate from commercial banks and normal government lenders. So you can see the value there for people who need to make these big purchases over the next number of years. We understand why you're behind it, and Toronto MP Julie Zarowitz was there. She chairs the Liberals' Toronto caucus, so clearly she's going to advocate for Toronto. But Montreal is in on this, Ottawa wants in, Toronto, Vancouver, Halifax, as I understand it. Is the federal government picking a favorite amongst those 5 options in this, or is Julie Zarowitz's presence merely Toronto MPs standing up for Toronto?
Well, for sure, Julie was there, and a bunch of the Liberal caucus was there to show their support from Ontario, granted. And look, that's going to be the Prime Minister's decision if Canada, which absolutely should be getting this, I think, but that's a process that has to go through with the charter nations. But if they select Canada, then it's the Prime Minister's decision. I'm not going to speak for the Prime Minister. But Toronto is, to be able to hire 3,500 people to stand this bank up, you can't do that in just any city. And Toronto, by far, has the talent and the depth to support that, has the leading institutions, not just in Canada, but some of the largest financial institutions on the planet. Along with everything else that I mentioned, I think a lot of countries who are going to put the capital into this bank are going to want a stable international capital market with depth of talent to be able to hire and operate this bank. And when you look at all that, we had hundreds of people in the announcement today, the who's who of Team Ontario, all supporting Toronto and Canada. I think it becomes very clear that that's the best option.
Whether it's Toronto or any other city in Canada, should Canada be the successful host country for this new institution, do you think the country would have a shot if Canada hadn't rolled out an aggressive plan to get to 2% and then committed to 5%? Because a couple of years ago, it would seem difficult to see the NATO countries rewarding a country that wasn't coming close to meeting its spending commitments.
My personal view is no. We wouldn't have had a shot. You know, I think for a long period of time, we just didn't hold up to our commitments to NATO. We made these commitments and we didn't deliver over the last decade plus. So now that we've signaled that 5%, that we're going to honor that commitment, you see in the budget that they tabled in Ottawa that they are pursuing this plan over 10 years to get to the 5%. We couldn't even consider having the headquarters of the bank without that sort of commitment and that leadership. So we're very optimistic. We think Canada is well positioned, and we think it's a no-brainer to have it in Toronto.
Okay, I'm going to step out of maybe your comfort zone here, Minister, and try to get you to scoop your boss and the Prime Minister, because there's reporting that the Ontario government and the federal government will sign a deal tomorrow to harmonize the review process for large projects in the Ring of Fire, getting to that one project, one review. Is that what we're going to see tomorrow, and what does that mean for your development plans in Ontario?
Well, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to scoop the Premier of Ontario. But what I will say that we've been working very closely with the federal government on a shared objective and priority to get things done faster. To get permitting done faster, to follow the regulations, but to get to yes or no in a competitive time frame, we're competing against the world for capital. We can't spend years and years and years on process because capital has disappeared. And when capital disappears, nothing gets done. There are no jobs. There is no multiplier effect of that capital. And that's the challenge we face as a country. And this is an opportunity right now to work together to get to faster permitting, to get through the red tape, to get to the yes or no for capital, to have certainty, to be going forward with multi-year plans. So I won't scoop the Premier, I won't scoop the Prime Minister, but I will say that the objective of working together is a noble objective. And the more we do together, the better it is for Ontarians and the better it is for all Canadians.
Deftly dodging the question while also addressing the issue is how you remain the Minister of Finance for the Government of Ontario. Peter Bethlenfalvy, we appreciate the time. Thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you, and the best of the holidays to you and your family.
You too, sir. Merry Christmas.